This is Brittany Thomas here for Right Wing Rhetoric 2. I'm here with Kandi Conda, who's Demi Lova's manager, and I'm going to begin my interview. Describe the event in which it was decided that you would be Demi Lova's manager since you're also her mother.
Wow. Well, what happened, Demi came home. She actually left Eastern and decided to come to Columbia to study music and to study radio. And at that time, I was just helping her out initially to get everything off the ground. And as things evolved, I knew a lot about business already, and I'm already an author, a published author. So I also knew about contracts. I knew about publishing rights, copyrights, and things of that nature. So initially, I started helping her out with the copyright end of it. And then it evolved into, I had a lot of contacts because I've been in a lot of events, done a lot of events across the city. So I started using some of my contacts to get her on certain shows. And it just kind of happened naturally. We didn't sit down one day and say, I'm going to manage you. It just actually kind of just happened gradually and naturally.
So, which is my next question with copywriting. How does that process go for artists wanting to copyright their music and they don't, know anything about it?
Well, there are plenty of artists that do the old-fashioned copyright, where they tend to, put the music or the song in an envelope and mail it to themselves, but that really is that's not formal protection. So if they really want to protect their music, they actually have to go to copyright.gov. There's a whole entire website dedicated to artists and music and producers, and it actually lets you, it doesn't cost that much, it's about $25, $30 per song. You can actually register before you're finished with a song while it's still in pre-production, and it actually asks you, what part is the producer, what part is the singer, what part you did, and it lets you break down the song so that you can give everyone the proper credit that's working on a piece.
Great. What is your role as Demi Lova's manager?
Well, I kind of do everything. I schedule shows, I do contracts, I collect deposits, I actually make sure that, I listen to all the music that goes out. I help with the selection of music. Sometimes I help with writing when absolutely necessary if they get stuck. I do it all. I'm at every show, and I just make sure that everything goes. I help with clothing selection, dances, auditions. I make sure all the music is right when we get out, anytime that there's a performance, the beginning to end, the whole thing.
A lot of hats you put on. How do you organize Demi's schedule, like, say, a daily schedule like today? How did you organize her schedule?
That's kind of tricky because a lot of times I will actually tell Demi things on Twitter. Oh, by the way, Demi Lover will be at this particular event. I manage her schedule day to day, hour to hour, but I don't always tell her everything. I tell her everything that she needs to know because otherwise it will be extremely overwhelming. I kind of let her manage her full schedule and events that I would say scheduled with Columbia, like Big Mouth, things of that nature. I put them on my schedule and integrate them into my schedule. But I manage the big calendar, the show, what she has to, if she's going to be hosting, if she's going to be performing. I'll make sure that she has the proper clothes, proper attire. Or like yesterday, I said, okay, this is everything that we have to do tomorrow. We're not coming back, so make sure you have an outfit for Big Mouth, whatever you're going to wear to school, whatever you're going to wear for the press conference, as well as whatever you're going to wear in the evening tomorrow. So I just, we have a couple of calendars, our phones, we share calendars with our phones, as well as, we have a hard calendar as well.
Awesome. What advice can you give to young Columbia students about managing an artist?
It's not as easy as it thinks. I just picked up two more, a male dance group as well as another artist that I'm working with. And I think a lot of people are under the assumption that a manager is going to come in and pay for everything that an artist is doing. And basically you're putting up and fronting up money and or time in the hope that this young artist is going to be successful. And that does not always happen. That may not happen for a year, 2 years, 3 years. So what happens to all of, there needs to be money, there's marketing materials, there's recording time that has to be paid for, and sometimes on an expensive hourly basis. So one of the, I do have a workshop, and I talk about this, and I think that it's important for everyone to know that I have had to tell my other artists that I'm working with on a promotional level that Demi is also my daughter, as well as I am managing her. So there's an additional set of monetary commitment that I put in as her mom, whereas those are on a normal basis. I would say, hey, you need to come up with this money. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what there's a misconception about what a manager does. People think that, oh, I'm going to hire a manager, they're going to book me to all these shows. Okay. You need a product first, and you need a good product. Mm-hmm. And then you have to work from there. The music has to be in place, or if you're a musician, all that has to be in place first before you get a manager. And then from the management aspect of it, like I said, you first give them something to work with so that they can go out there and use that tool to get you what you need. But keep in mind that most of those things, there will be some kind of monetary commitment or expectation prior, you see what I'm saying, from the artist. And that's what I want the artist to know as well as the manager. It's easy to say I'm going to manage someone, but it's just not always as easy as it looks.
Okay. Thank you for answering that and that lens. How do you and Demi Lovo network from a day-to-day basis or month-to-month basis?
How do we network?
Yes.
Well, we go to industry events. We network at other, we're invited to a lot of industry events, or we are network today. We're at the Chicago Music Awards press conference. So along with Demi Lovo actually being nominated for 3 awards, she's also networking with other artists that are nominated as well. And, industry events, we're invited to a lot of things. We go to, like I said, parties, events, outings, whatever, anywhere that we feel that it is a good networking opportunity.
Okay. As a manager, how do you feel, or how do you make sure that you get Demi Lovo's support from Chicago, and how important is it for Chicago, being her home, to support her?
It's very important for Chicago to support her. The one thing that I do is I try to find every avenue from a communication standpoint, technology, innovation, marketing, promotion, to let everyone know what she's doing, and then we try to bring them in, whether it's an artist, or like I said, we're very free with our time. We do a lot of, sharing of, it doesn't matter if it's putting someone's name on a flyer, and then they reciprocate to us. When Demi Lovo did her video, Tiffany from Bad Girls Club came out, Shorty Mac came out, Half Deaf, all of these people, these other young stars and celebrities came out to support her video, and then in turn we help to rebrand them as well. And that's one of the ways that we do support. And then we just try to put out a good product and hope that everyone, and communicate a lot. We communicate through Twitter, through Facebook. People, a lot of times are able to communicate directly with her, even via phone. And that's it, and we just try to keep the brand going, because you're not going to make everyone happy. Everyone does need to know that. For every 5 supporters and people that love you, you're going to have that one person that says, I can't stand you. You just got to keep the ball rolling. You got to have a tough skin and kind of keep on moving.
That's good. I hope everyone really listens to that, because you can't please everyone. You mentioned earlier that you have other artists. From a managing standpoint, is there a certain brand or reputation that you're trying to build under the Kandi Conda management?
That's a good question, because right now I haven't got that far yet where I just pick and choose individuals that kind of go along with what I'm looking for out of an artist. And what I mean by that is, like Demi Lovo, there is no cursing in her music. It's kind of clean. The dance group I'm working with is a male fraternity-based dance group. They're mentors to young men. They're out in the community, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are actually trying to change the world, trying to make a difference, not, through their art or through their gift and talent, not just anyone that says, oh, I can sing or I can dance.
That's a good one. What challenges have you had to overcome as a manager?
Oh, wow. There's a learning curve that comes with management, a lot, especially music management, because I'm a female in a male-dominated industry. So there are a lot of, walls and barriers that I have to break down on a regular basis. Sometimes I've got to get tough. There are times when we're to be paid on a show, and, midway through the show, they're saying, oh, guess what, we're not, we don't have enough money to pay everyone. So, that's when, I normally take my big security guy that's 6'5" and 300 pounds and say, let's go get the money. So, there are a lot of, you can just name it. It doesn't, just like I said, just sometimes dealing with other, men in a male-dominated industry, people, they do tend to sometimes, not all the times, but occasionally try to take advantage of you. So you really have to have a tough, thick skin in this industry. So I just try to stay ahead of the game and ahead of the curve as much as possible.
That's great. Thank you. My final question is, for an incoming Columbia student who doesn't have a mother who's knowledgeable in the music industry, how can they go about getting a manager for their career?
There are tons of managers out here. There's managers out here. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is finding one and choosing one that's going to be on the same program and that has your best interest at heart, and that's not going to rob you blind at the end of the day, which is mainly how I started to do this, because I didn't want her to lose everything, and I had to watch out for her. We've been in plenty of meetings where a guy told her just last night, show a little bit more cleavage, raise your skirt up a little. She's like, no, that's my dancers. Like, they got the sexy. I'm the artist. I got the talent. So, whatever it is, you need to choose someone that is on the same page, that has the same, at the end of the day, the same mantra, the same, like I said, they just feel and breathe and think and eat the same way you do. Now, don't get me wrong. We disagree on plenty of days. We wake up and have a full-blown, oh, no, this isn't the day. But for the most part, because it's a business and we understand that, we're able to come together and say, okay, how are we going to, make this particular thing happen? Because, for instance, like she'll tell me, she told me a couple months ago, I really want an app. Did she tell you she had an app?
I know, Android app.
Yes, an Android app. And I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can make that happen. So, I searched through from California to New York, finding a developer, and then finally, I was able to tell her like 2 weeks ago, guess what? I'm getting ready to conference you in. We're going to have an app done in a week. She was like, what? And she went crazy. But my thing is, I listen to what she says, I try to make it happen, and I look at how it's going to affect the Demi Lovo brand. And at the end of the day, I eat, sleep, and think the Demi Lovo brand. Even if that means taking a backseat. I'm an author. I'm trying to finish my own book. I'm traveling. I have a full plate as well. But, at the beginning of the day, we still, it's about the Demi Lovo brand. And, I check her Facebook. I check her Twitter. I make sure that, everything is up to par, that there are no pictures, anything that's going to be damaging. We both do it every day. And so, like I said, if you're going to choose a manager, it should be someone that cares about what you're doing, someone that understands the big picture. And most importantly, they need to understand what's going on in the music business, because it's tricky. And there's a little tagline that people say, the music industry eats its young, and it really is the truth. Because if you blink 2 times, I've talked to people that have called me crying and said, oh, this promoter, I gave him $2,500, he was going to give me $5,000, I can't even find him to get the $2,500 back. So if you're not careful, people will take your money, make you promises they can't keep. And so whoever, and it could be a manager, it could be family even. So you really have to, do some investigating on who you choose and what it is that you want them to do. And you have to understand business and how business is done, because it can be one little tiny thing in a contract that can ruin you. A lot of these producers sign you up to production deals, 6-year deals, or managers sign you up to 12-year deals. Well, if you're 25 and you sign a 12-year deal, you'll be 33, and what happens if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do and you're locked into a deal? So it's just a lot to know, So maybe take a business or a music business course, and then you need to interview that manager just like you would be interviewing for a job. They need to be interviewed for the job to be able to work with you, to have that capability.
Well, thank you so much. Those were great key points. All you Columbia students, talk to your advisor about taking a music business class if, managing an artist is something that you want to do, or even for yourself to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of. Make sure you follow Demi Lovo on Twitter, @DemiLovo. Also, her Facebook is /Demi Lovo.
Just Demi Lovo.
Just Demi Lovo. How can people get the Android app?
They just go to the market and type in Demi Lovo.
Type in Demi Lovo. Thank you so much. This is Brittany Thomas. Today's date is November 10th, 2010. And we're going to wrap up the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now,